Okay. Blinker's working.
Now what could be better than to start off a day just sitting on your Street Fighter and dreaming of rides to come? Wow, even though it's a rainy day, it's supposed to rain all day and be crappy all day, I will try to get the fairing on this and the rest of the body parts and have it all ready for a photo shoot if the sun ever comes out. I'm looking around and looking at the bikes in the collection and just wondering what a wonderful summer we're going to have, and hopefully this virus that we're all suffering from will be over with soon. Right at the end of the season, where pretty soon we won't have to be swapping out battery tenders anymore. And maybe we'll see some sunshine eventually. Wow. But, wow, could I be happier with a project? I've never been happier with a project in my whole life than the way this has turned out.
So I've got a plan putting these fairings on today. The last couple of days we've gotten most of the body work. Everything has gone together so beautifully on this, nice and tight. No broken tabs so far. Now it'll be a real challenge getting the front end on this because of the virus issues that we have. I don't want to have contact with anybody. I'm going to try to do it myself today. And I'm going to be as careful as I've ever been with anything in my life. So what I did, I made sure, even though it's raining out there still, I can't put anything outside. I organized the bikes in such a way that at least I have this whole area here. I can move the bike back and forth, or forward and reverse, or whatever, so I don't have any danger of scratching the fairing parts. And as I said before, every step of this project has just been better than what I could have ever imagined. All of the little styling cues and all the little color choices, and I guess I have to thank a lot of people for that. John Pothier, Karen, Thomas Luciano, everybody. It's been a team effort. So before I go in and have coffee, I got the bike set up on a center stand right about in a position it'll be the most convenient to put all the fairing parts on. And one by one, the parts have been disappearing off the part bench like magic. Then the fish, of course, are getting hungry. Won't be long now, we'll be feeding the fish every morning. Listen to those birds in the background. Birds chirping. Okay, it's time to get this show on the road. Oh yeah, Wendy. Yeah, you were going to go to work and you're sitting here drinking coffee for 20 minutes? No wonder the bike took so long. No, it took 5 months to do something. Should have taken 2 weeks. Now as I walk into the shop this morning, I notice, wait, where did all the parts go? We're down to having one table of parts, and maybe by the end of the next day or so, we'll have the whole workbench clean and be ready to start on the next little project we have. And we have 2 or 3 little projects I've kind of set up because I don't think right now a lot of people are going to be getting together because of these health issues. And hopefully soon that'll go away. But in the meantime, this project is keeping me pretty busy. And we're going to try to get that main fairing on today. And that's a heavy, awkward part, and I'm going to do everything I can not to scratch it. Finally getting this thing out to the garage after all this time. Well, at least the rain has subsided, and that's in our favor. Of course, we're not going to be out here in a pouring rain. So the first thing I need to do is I need to see where the bracketing that's going to hold this on. I guess we could, well, I'm looking for some way to just do like a little dry fit. Take out, let's see, there's 2 lights here, 2 lights here. These are pretty self-explanatory. This is and one of these, this is the speedometer one. So all of these wires, I guess, have to be out in the open here so I can get to them. Here we go. Now that ought to be, let's see. That's going to go down there. And I can see if I can do a little dry fit on this. But it's never as easy as it looks. It's always something.
That's got to go up there. That's got to go up here. So my goal is here, I guess this is an easy way to do it. Nothing is easy. Where's that? Where the hell are the bolts? I just had them put aside. I'm going to put one bolt in here just to kind of loose by hand. Hold it. This is not the bolt that even belongs in here, even. Just so this doesn't fall down. Okay, that keeps it up there. Now I can start to see where this is going to have to fit. Actually, that's nice the way that drops right on there. And it was more work taking it apart than it was putting it back together. So I want to get this pinned in from 2 or 3 different places. And then the big thing is I want to hook up all the wires and make sure all the lights and all the accessories work. The blinkers and the running lights and the headlights and the high beams and everything. Rather than bolt everything up super tight, I just have one bolt where there should be 3. Because I may have to take this on and off to reach down. I can see that getting at some of these wires and things is, as you can imagine, he doesn't have those little tiny fingers that we all wish we had when you work on motorcycles. So I guess the first thing here is I got to look around the fairing at the side. I want to get a bolt in the side so this is nice and stable while I'm working on it. So this is pretty nicely engineered so far. I have a little bit of wheel bearing grease. I want to go on those. This snaps into a rubber grommet here because I don't want to have any of these that, let's see, make sure that doesn't interfere, that doesn't interfere, and that snaps in nice. So of course the other side is the same. Now that keeps everything nice and stable while I'm putting the rest of the fasteners in. And the problem is once you break one of these tabs, and yeah, you can carbon fiber it and make a piece and do everything you want, but it's still better if you don't break it. So once those snap in and the grease doesn't keep it from that it jumps out or anything, yeah, that's nice. Actually, this is very well engineered. As I think about it, when I took this apart, I wasn't thinking it through, of course, because the first time you do anything, you run into problems. Well, I can see now that this is way better engineered than I originally thought it was. And this goes, it's really not even a 2-man job to put this fairing back on. And here's where it may get a little tricky because we have all the wires out now. And I want to, this of course goes into the socket here. And that will be, let's see where that goes. That's just a press fit. That takes care of that one. Now there should be one on the other side. And that goes into the running lights. This bike, of course, has nice running lights. Another nice feature. Okay, that takes care of that. We have, this one is for the instruments, if I remember right. Do I remember right? Is this for the instruments? Okay, now I've got the 2 for the headlight. This is going to the headlights. So we've got 2 of these. One is going to go on this side. Oh boy. See, this is where if you work on bikes all the time, that goes there. But it's really to your advantage if you do take pictures along the way. Boy, does that make, or video even better. And I wonder if this is the one that goes to the instrument cluster. It should be, that should be the last one. Now let's see if we got 2 running lights. Fuel pumps running. We got the headlight running. And if you look carefully down there, you'll see that the blinker wires, I have to get my hand down in there. I've got to hook up the blinker wires before I can go to the next step. It'd just be real handy if you had an octopus right now with little tiny hands. Okay. Blinker's working. And we got the running lights working. And those are the nice high intensity bulbs that we got through John Pothier. This bike even has 4-way flashers, of all things. This bike also has something really cool. It has all these little clips for routing the wires, and I'll make sure I haven't missed any, so that these wires don't interfere with the steering lock or anything like that. And that's just a nice little feature.
something I'm pretty impressed with how nice that is. But again, putting this bike together, putting this fairing on, not like a track bike where you just 4 Zeus fittings and it's off. And there's the plug for the instrument panel. That's the last, one of the last things I have to resolve here. And since we're trying to share general knowledge, and I'm sure this is something that would be of interest to people. You do some work on a bike like this, and I notice as I'm checking everything, the headlights weren't working. So the first thing I would do is check the fuses, of course. I checked each one of them with a continuity tester. Every one of them is good, even visually and with continuity. So I know it's not the fuse, but I have a feeling, knowing how modern bikes work, as an expert that I am, I think what happens is, and when I hook up the instruments, the headlights will work, that the circuit has to go through the instruments because there's things in the instrument cluster that tell you if the high beam's on or whatever. And I think that completes the circuit. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. What I'll do is I'll go get the instrument cluster and just hold it in place. I don't want to bolt it on now. And then if the headlights work, that'll be good information to pass on. If it isn't, we're going to have to start diagnosing wires here. And that's one thing I hate to do. So the great diagnostician that I am, I hooked up the plug that hooks to the instruments, of course. I turn the key on, and guess what? No headlights. So then I thought, well, maybe the engine has to be running for the headlights to come on. We have high beam. We have high beam. We have the indicator. Now you may be thinking, well, that's totally overkill. You don't have to check all that stuff. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm just that old school that I do want to check all that stuff. And I got to be real careful pulling all these plugs out. These things are really delicate. Now, I don't know if I can share this conveniently or not, but if you look down at that plug, there's a little tab you have to press down. You can't just pull it out like you can on old Yamaha and Suzuki plugs. You have to press down that little tab, and then the headlight, this whole unit then will come right off. You can't just pull it off. And by the way, that is good information. That's the kind of information we want to share as backyard mechanics. And I really do want to share this because I noticed on all of the modern bikes, even when I took the R1 apart, they have these little, in the old days, you used to just push these together. Now they have, see where my thumb is here? That little thing, you have to push it down, or else you wind up breaking or stripping it or whatever you do. And then you wind up with a big repair job. So I hope that's the kind of information I like to pass on. That's useful information. So we also know all the fuses are okay, because whenever you're doing this kind of thing, it's very easy to ground out one of the wires or do something. And I have done that before, of course. And then go and put the bike back together and there was a fuse bad. In fact, I do remember doing it more than once. So now there's a lot of little fasteners and I want to get them all in hand tight. I don't want anything solid until that whole upper fairing is on in one solid unit. So now what I've done is I put a drop of Loctite on all 3 of the bolts, ready to sock these home. We have the fairing in halfway decent position now, and everything looks like it lined up just perfectly here. To be honest, I wasn't expecting it. I'm always expecting I have to do some tweaking, but again, I don't know. These are Loctited. I don't want to have any chance. These are going to loosen up, or boy, you'll have a major repair thing right if this gets loose and chews everything up. I'm being really careful. I need the bolts that hold the fairing on. Bolts that I can't get to conveniently, to never forget to put a drop of blue Loctite on them. Now what I'm being is super careful that I don't have any wires rubbing up on anything that's going to be a problem. Everything looks like it's got plenty of clearance here. Or that I'm doing something that I'm going to be sorry I didn't do. Everything looks good. Actually, it looks better than I thought it would. Now the instrument cluster is relatively straightforward, but I don't want to scratch anything. And I do remember taking this out. It was a little trickier than I thought it was. And I don't remember what the trick was. So let's see, this has to go underneath. This has to go underneath. Let's see if that works. I'm sure there's a way. Nope, can't do that. Huh?
looks like that may be one of the ways you can get it in. There's always something tricky about this. Something that backyard mechanics need to know. You can get that over there a little bit. Don't scratch it. And this is what I was afraid was going to happen, is we're going to get to a point where this will not. There we go. Oh, oh, lucky. Lucky. Oh, he's got it. He's got it. Wow. Share the good news. Okay, now there's little tabs up here that have to be addressed. These have to be addressed here. That gets put in. That gets bolted in. And then we have 3 screws up here. And that. Okay, that looks like it's ready, good to go. And then we can just, once it's in, snap the wire in. That was trickier than I thought it would be. One of the tricks I found for doing these kind of things, where there's a lot of little angles and edges and tabs, put all the screws in hand tight and then go around and tighten them. Because if you put one screw super tight, sometimes you have to force the next one. Let the part float till it finds its way and all the screws are started. And once everything's lined up and you're happy with it, you can sock the screws down. So the next step are these 2 little filler pieces that just fill in between the bodywork and the oil tank. The antifreeze tank. And that allows you, just by popping that off, to get in and check the antifreeze. And in 11 years, never moved a millionth of an inch. Now the next step on this is the little carbon fiber part that we made. And this has to get snapped in. There's 2 of those little plastic Zeus fittings hold it in. That looks like a perfect fit. That looks okay. Well, this looks like a perfect time to take a coffee break. When you need a coffee break, you need a coffee break, and without that coffee, we will not get anything else done this afternoon. I'll be on the lazy boy. Here they are. Here they are. The lower fairing parts. We made, the weather cleared up, and the sun might even come out. This guy might be finished this afternoon. I'm gonna try to get the fairings on. Let's see. We got the fairing, the windshield, and maybe even shoot some pictures. So the first thing here is to make sure there's a lot of little tabs on this. Make sure they all go in exactly the right slot. That goes in there, that goes in there, that goes in there. And we have all the little screws have been polished. And that's ready to assemble. Wow. Boy, is that going to look, when this was flat black, oh my God. What a different look that has. Wow. So now with all the fittings done, everything lines up real nice. We can put that permanent bolt in there, tighten that up, and then we can snap on the lower fairings. Oh, that's all these little tabs. Now so far we have been so lucky we haven't distorted or ruined or crushed any of those little tabs. And once these lower screws are tightened up, oh man, this is really starting to look nice. What a difference with those lowers painted gloss black. Wow. Now every one of these fasteners, I'm trying to make sure I don't do anything. I scratch the paint, or to get anything misaligned. Oh, that's going to be fine. 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 Now, some of these, yeah. Oh, I see. It didn't snap in. There's always a little trick to everything. Now some of these holes are such a tight fit that the paint buildup on them, I just have to take a taper reamer and take one slice out of that,
so it doesn't crack the paint. With those lowers painted black. What a giant, I mean giant difference in the way the whole motorcycle looks. Beautiful upgrade. And this side is pretty similar. And then we got to join the bottom. And that will be the whole fairing will be done. Wow. Now with all the fasteners holding that on, oh boy, do we get a nice, and you still get to look in the front of there and see those polished pipes. I think that is such a nice touch. Yeah, 2 more of the body parts have to get fit on. Kind of a simple, relatively easy part. And then the last thing, I think the last thing will be the windshield. I should remember exactly how these go, but I don't. Okay, so we have tabs. See, as always with these bikes. All right, it's nice being able to just button up these last couple of screws, and I got to get the windshield ready. Well, one thing good, once you get the first part on, usually the second one is for the other side. If it's your lucky day. Boy, does this ever our lucky day. All these little notches are fitting just fine. Truly our lucky day. And we don't always have a lucky day, but when we do, it's like today. Wow, and the sun is coming out. I wanted to shoot some pictures to share with, obviously, friends and family. Oh boy, that come out nice. Those fingerprints off of the bike. Now there's a sight I've been waiting 5 months to see. Look at that. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable, 5 months. And we're putting the last couple parts on the bike after another cup of coffee and we'll be all set. And there's the last 2 pieces except for the windshield ready to put on the bike. Well, it has been a long time coming. Alright, now these have a little snap for rubber bushings. I should remember how to put these things on. Oh my god. I don't even remember which goes on which side. Now after putting plenty of grease on these little tabs, because boy, if these tabs break, what a mess. What a mess. I don't want that, that's for sure. And get the screw in here. Alright, so that completes this side. Just get all these disgusting fingerprints off. Now to me it was one of the critical things was to get that little piece we made out of carbon fiber in there to fill that gap. It just, I think that changed the whole look of the motorcycle. Small detail, and worth all the effort we put into it. Alright, this part is, bushings are greased. Now let's see if we can do this without a lot of drama. I love the sound of that snap, snap. Now because we replaced a lot of the hardware on the bike, we have all matching button head screws. In a lot of places we had mismatched stuff and Phillips and whatever. And boy, that little area there changes the whole look of the motorcycle. I'm amazed. I'm totally amazed. So the things that we have, we blacked out the heel pads with carbon fiber, made that little piece there with carbon fiber, blacked out what I didn't like at all, that fake bolt head that they had there, covered up half of the shock, made this piece, instead of having whatever you would call it, flat black plastic, have it shiny plastic. Oh my god. I can't wait to get this outside. It's sunny outside. Get some pictures of it. Now I have two windshields, and my only concern with the darker windshield is I don't want it to restrict shooting the video, and I won't know until I try that. But no, I have two windshields, so changing a windshield out is really not a big deal. Well, it's been a long time coming getting this to where we can see it all in one piece now anyway. I decided to go with the clear windshield because I want to shoot some really good video, hopefully. Hopefully, if we ever get some decent weather. Okay, everything looks pretty good. Now, one of the things that's the last of the details, and this is what I love about having a bike that I've already ridden many miles. I don't have to worry when I get on this that I'm not going to be happy in some way. Let me just get this mirror started. And whenever I restore a bike, I always like to ride it for a few years and make sure I'm in love with it before I get too emotionally attached. Okay. Having mirrors on a bike that are going to, well, I'll get these final adjusted. Having good quality mirrors that I can see out of, worth its weight in gold. Well, that pretty much finishes the basic. Well, we got more stuff, little stuff to do, but the basic, we could ride the bike now. That's all I have to do is figure a way of getting better. But boy, I fought through a week of doing this already. You can hear it in my voice still. Karen's been sick, I've been sick, but boy, this has kept me alive. Just watching this come to fruition, and I hope you've enjoyed it too. But before this day ends, and it's not dark yet, what I wanted to do is get outside and shoot some pictures. Now that really was a very special 500 hours of my life, and if you've been going along with this whole video, this is not the end. We're going to get a lot of good rides on this, and as I sit in the, what should I call it, the cockpit here, and I look at, I couldn't have even dreamed that this could be better. And I don't know, I'm just hoping we're going to have all this illness is going to be behind us soon and we're going to be able to ride. But right now I can just sit here and oogle. I know Dallas will know exactly what that is. And I don't think it's even dark enough out there. I do want to share some pictures. I'll put them at the end of the video if I do get any that are decent. And all I can say to everybody that's been with me on this great adventure, 500 plus hours, 5 months, some disappointment, but mostly a lot of enjoyment. So thanks for watching, and enjoy the photos at the end of the video. So I did get to shoot some photos here, and I'll share them at the end. Nothing really incredibly that I wasn't expecting. The light was not good here. It had actually about 10 minutes after this, I did this little photo shoot. It started little raindrops, not much, but it was a crappy day all day. You can see in the sky there. But the purpose of the photo shoot is I like to look at it from a lot of different angles and see how many parts of this project I got correct and how many it looks like I missed the boat on. Now, I'm going to give you an example. The one that I think, the biggest single one, and I thank Karen for her help, getting the gold paint right. If that gold color was not the right color, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure how that would have worked out. Now, there's so many things on this bike, so many things on this project that you look at it from certain angles and it has the look of an MV Agusta Street Fighter. From some other angles, I don't know, it looks like a Kawasaki Ninja, which it is. And from some angles, one of the things I like are those blinkers built into the fairing. I love the black forks. I love the arrowheads. That part I think I got right. One of the things, the Kawasaki and the 650R logos are totally parallel. If you see them on both sides, they are parallel, and that was extremely difficult to get right. I made patterns for that. I was hoping that it would just be perfect. Now, it is perfect. If you do the parallax view from down low, it doesn't look right. But from the view you stand at, and it's the same as the FZR stripe. You have to, the datum line that you want to use is from where you stand up. Now, the height that you stand up. The dashboard, I loved. That was worth all the extra effort. The Thomas Luciano Kawasaki, thank you, Thomas. Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody.
That just couldn't have been better. And in my mind, I saw this. I used to go to sleep at night thinking about this. And you know, the one thing that dawned on me, we were in Houston, Texas not long ago, maybe 8-10 years ago. And we visited a guy that had a real Spitfire, and he was 75 years old. And he showed us his Spitfire, and I know I have video, and I know I've shared it. And when we asked him what was his next project, because he had put his heart and soul, I think 10, 11 years into that Spitfire, he said, I don't know if I have another project in me. I'm getting long in the tooth. Well, I'm not so sure how many more of these projects I have left in me. I might be getting long in the tooth here too. Karen seems to think so too. Maybe Luciano does too. I don't know. But anyway, we do have some photos. The next step on this is we're going to wait for a nice sunny day that we can enjoy the ride and get out the radar detector and go to our favorite roads and scuff those new tires in. And I don't know what else to say. If you've been with me for the last 500 hours, 124 videos, all I can say, and I say it at the end of every video, I hope you enjoyed the video. And most of all, thanks for watching.